here's the bottom 16 part, which is why I started the show with a pseudonym.
Tony Luckman, take it away.
Ouch. So when you have a countdown, you have to have people at the bottom of it. Pittsburgh Penguins, Tampa Bay Lightning, that's you. EJ Radick, I'm looking at you, and I'm looking at the bottom 16, and I'm thinking, I hope he picks an intriguing team that doesn't remember my name. Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to talk about the Vegas Golden Knights because their situation is really interesting to me because this is an expansion team. And when you think of expansion teams, normally you think of stockpiling draft picks and developing all these young players. And as they enter into like a fourth season, a fifth season, really start to have an identity of who they're going to be moving forward. Well, Bill Foley is the owner there, George McPhee, that whole group in Vegas. They wanted to win yesterday.
Urgency.
So they went out and they were willing to mortgage some of that future, trade some of those good draft picks, like an Eric Brandstrom ended up in Ottawa in the Mark Stone deal. You know, a kid like Suzuki ends up going in a deal for Pacioretty. There was a number of high-end picks and draft picks. Remember the Tomas Tatar deal? They gave up a number of picks in that deal. They were willing to trade away part of the future as a philosophical decision to be, we want to be competitive now. We have a good group of NHLers we were able to get in a expansion draft that was different than any we've seen in the past. They were able to be competitive quicker. And so that's what they've done. So they're lower on our list now. We'll see what Peyton Krebs is able to do. He's the number one guy that we here at the NHL Network, the research staff, has as their number one guy in the pipeline. He played very well for Team Canada at the World Juniors, but it is not the kind of list that you would expect just because of the way that the Vegas Golden Knights have decided philosophically. They want to win today. They've moved away from some of the draft picks they had, and so therefore their list is lower down the line. And I would think that does put pressure on this group to win today, because if you don't win in the next 2 or 3 years, you don't have those guys coming to take you to the next level.
Rupper?
You're bang on there.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Nashville.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Nashville in this. Nashville Predators, when we look across the league and we look across the last number of years, I would say now is a modern day, maybe the Carolina Hurricanes, a D factory. You're going to get, you get assets, right? Or you get equity in players and you draft picks and you build D. Because you could trade D and you get a great return.
Yeah.
D, you need D to play.
They drafted
well.
Seth Jones.
Yes, exactly. And when you start looking around, Nashville has been, since they came in the league, a D factory. My concern is when you look at that list right there, there's no letter D on that list. So my concern is, all right, where do they go from here? We know about their D right now, and they still have a very strong D core. Roman Yossi's the current Norris winner. You know what I mean? So it's good. But they're kind of moving away from their belief system that's kept them competitive for so long on their prospects list. So I'm kind of, and also, I'm not going to sit here and Askarov did not have a great World Juniors. I don't believe in saying, oh, well, that was a terrible, I don't believe in that.
It's a snapshot. It's only a few games.
He's been dynamite for most of his life, his young life. And so, but the only problem that I have a little bit is, like you mentioned before, goaltenders, I'm not a big first-round goaltender guy. You know what I mean? And, unless it turns out to be an absolute stud, then that's fine. But I don't know. I just feel like this team has maybe moved off of what's built them. Maybe they figured we haven't won a cup, so let's try something different. I don't know. But I'm a little concerned now with not really looking like they have much in the D system coming up through. And the continuity has been there. David Poile has been calling the shots for a long time. How about a team that has noticeably fallen? I watched and listened to Casey Kasem growing up. There were always tunes that kind of lost their way. A team, well, the Islanders. This comes to mind, and their GM and their decision maker, the great Lou Lamoriello. You know him. You won the third cup he won with the New Jersey Devils. What about the decisions that have been made and where their pipeline stands? Because certainly the recent past for them has been promising. 6th seed, and they play for the conference crown, losing to the Lightning in 6. The pipeline, though, dipping. Why? A loaded question there, because this is a team that I think can can push to win their division this year. Yeah. So they are in that. They play with a certain kind of structure. Any team that Lou has ever coached, and Barry Trotz obviously brings that in there as well. But when you look at it, the group as a whole, there's just not a ton knocking on the door. And this is a team that certainly has some pieces, but they need pieces to help them get over the top. And Sorokin is one that the goaltender of the future. He's a guy that is very big on their list. But then after that, they're almost in win now, but their roster's not really a win now roster. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's going to take that structure's going to have to drive them, and that's fine because that's what they do. But it's like you're almost waiting for them to get over the hump. I'm not sure they're going to be able to because they don't really have someone pushing from beneath. Yeah, well, the good news is, you mentioned Sorokin. He's there this year. They finally have him. Nice goalie tandem, there with Semyon Varlamov. So the two Russian goalies will be in net, and Varlamov should serve as a mentor for Sorokin. But think about it. Dobson would have been on that list, but he is now moved up because of our criteria, and he's still a very, very young player, and he's going to really be more important to this Islander group as they go forward. Ryan Pulak and Adam Pelech, they've been really terrific defensemen. I mean, that's as good a defensive pair as you're going to find in the National Hockey League. They're still very young players, but those were guys that came out of that Islanders system. So, they have graduated a bunch of guys onto their team, but to your point, Rupper, now they've drafted a little further back. They've made some deals. Remember, they went out to get J.G. Pajot, traded away draft picks. Yep. All of a sudden now they're into a different mode, but you're right. They've got to find those guys. They have to find guys within their group that are going to pop. Like Tampa Bay, when you think about the Lightning, the most recent Stanley Cup winner, they didn't hit on every first-round pick they've had over the years, but they were always able to find guys in the second, third, fourth, fifth round, important players to their team. Kucherov was a second-round pick. Braden Point. I mean, they found guys that were able to pop for them. So that will be the challenge for Lou Lamoriello and that group, is to unearth those guys in the later rounds and then really do a good job developing these players at the minor league level so they're ready, just like the Tampa Bay Lightning did through their Syracuse affiliate. And the one thing they do under the tutelage of Lou Lamoriello, they take their time. So they take their time with their prospects so they're ready to make that transition. Yeah.